Namaskar and welcome to this presentation on track circuit. In part 4, we will be dealing with the testing of components, mainly glue joints and sleepers. How these two components are tested in a track circuit. Testing of glue joint. So testing of glue joint, we will use a 100 volts DC method. Insulation resistance when we are testing it shall not be less than 25 mega ohms in dry condition. If it is in wet condition, for example, there is a rain, then in that condition, when you measure it, it should not be less than 3 kilo ohms. So when you are testing a glue joint, it can be done before installation. So when you are testing it in before installation, you can test between rail to rail, rail to fish plate, rail to rail, rail to fish plate, this rail to fish plate and this rail to fish plate and rail to bolt. While after installation in track circuit, installation to be checked between rail and fish plate, between rail and fish plate only, between this rail and fish plate and between rail and bolts. You cannot check between rail to rail. It will give wrong reading. There is another method to find out a defective block joint. This is called the fault injection method. In this method, you need to keep the multimeter on the concerned track circuit. Here let us see these two track circuits, UMCT and 1480. These are all adjacent track circuits. So here if you want to check, then keep the multimeter in UMCT. Now shunt the adjacent track circuit feed, or you can even disconnect the adjacent track circuit feed, that is 1480. Either shunt this track circuit or remove the feed on the track circuit. There should not be any change. If there is any change in the voltage reading on the UMCT track relay, here you are measuring the voltage of this track relay. There should not be any change on the track relay when you short this track circuit or remove the feed of this track circuit. If there is any change in the track circuit when you short this, then it means that the insulation joint is defective or faulty. Now coming to the testing of sleepers. Concrete sleeper testing before laying of track, you can use a multimeter only of sensitivity not less than 20 kilo ohms per volt. Megger should not be used in this case. Resistance between insert to insert should be more than 500 ohms before laying in track. So what is this insert to insert? This is called an insert. You can say there are four inserts here, A, B, C and D. So between you have to check between A and B, A and C and then A and D. In the next stage you have to check between B and C, similarly B and D, and finally between C and D also. These all should be more than 500 ohms. Now the lowest that you get should be taken into consideration. If you get 600, 700 or 800, you have to consider 600 ohms as the resistance. There is another method of tracing a defective PSC sleeper in track circuit when it is already placed in the track circuit. Here you can use a cable root tracer to find out the defective sleeper. I have already provided a video on YouTube. Please refer that video. Here we produce a 33 kilohertz signal. It is applied at the track feed end with the signal generator. Faulty sleeper is detected when signal receiver has full strength. So we are giving 33 kilohertz at the feed end, and when we go on moving from one sleeper to another sleeper, suppose this sleeper is defective, then you get the maximum signal strength of 999, which means that concerned sleeper is defective. You can see the video on this YouTube channel for clear understanding. Now, what is the another method to find out a defective sleeper when you have already provided it in the track? Let us say this is the defective sleeper. Here you have to remove the feed end and relay end voltages, or the links shall be removed. Now take a 110 volts or 12 volts signal transformer. Generally previously signal transformers were used. If you have any transformer, take a 110 or 12 volts transformer. Then provide a 2 amps fuse for it. Give that voltage of 12 volts at the feed end. Check the current value passing through the rails by using a clip-on meter at the end of each sleeper. Now you have connected 12 volts to the track circuit. Take a clamp meter and provide here. It will give you some current. Let us say 1 amp. Here also it will be 900 to 1 amp. 1 amp. 1 amp. Now this is your defective sleeper. After the sleeper, if you keep your clamp meter here, it will show a drastic reduce. It will be less than 100 milliamps or even less than that. I am just giving you an example of 1 amp and 100. It can be any voltage. That from here to here there should be drastic change. बहुत change दिखना चाहिए. यहाँ पे कितना भी करंट होने दो, यहाँ से और यहाँ पे अंतर बहुत ज्यादा आपको दिखाई पड़ेगी. Then that is called the defective sleeper. Up to the defective sleeper, the current will be almost the same. But after the defective sleeper, the current reduces drastically. There is another simple method also, which is generally a crude method. ये अपना local method है. So multimeter track relay के ऊपर लगा दीजिए. You keep the multimeter on the track relay. Hammer each sleeper. एक हैमर लेके एक एक को मारते जाइए. इसमें कह नहीं सकते कि फेल्यूर मिल सकता है, लेकिन चांसेस है, क्योंकि ये आसान मेथड है. पहले इसको ट्राई कीजिए. हैमर ईच स्लीपर एंड चेक फॉर एनी चेंज इन द वोल्टेज ऑन द ट्रैक रिले. अगर मैं इस स्लीपर के ऊपर मारा, इफ आई हैमर दिस स्लीपर, suddenly the voltage has increased, then you can suspect this sleeper and concentrate on removing the sleeper. You can isolate the sleeper or use rubber pads, nylon liners, etc. to find out the defective sleeper. Thank you. Jai Hind.